So, because everybody's like talking up James Webb Space Telescope, um, and that's a bad thing. When everybody is saying the same thing, it's not great. Um, so, a little bit of reality check here. The project was kicked off in 1996, originally planned to launch in 2007. It just launched yesterday in 2000. The end, like the last week of 2021. Okay, so I'm not necessarily all that smart, but that's 14 years? When the original, like, beginning to end was supposed to be 11 years. Well, beginning to launch was supposed to be 11 years. So that 14-year gap between when it was supposed to launch and when it did launch is longer than the original expected design, development, production, and launch. Kind of a problem. Also in 2005, they decided to just be like, oh, fuck, we need to redesign the whole thing. And then when they, I think it was finished in 2016, and then they started like testing it, and nothing. It kept failing. Like the telescope couldn't talk to the launcher, and they ripped the solar thingy, and there's all kinds of issues. Oh, it's gonna do all the things we promised for sure. There's not gonna ever be any issues now. It's fine. Okay. And it ran over budget massively, right? So much so that it basically prevented funding of other astronomy projects. And everybody compares it to things like Hubble, but it doesn't do the same job as Hubble, so that comparison is really strange, right? Hubble is designed to look at visible light, mostly, down into very near infrared. So, it kind of, it's like, if you take your, what is it, the cornea or whatever, what you can now see, well, it can see that shit. It can see about like a human being. And James Webb doesn't see that way. It sees mostly reds down into radio, like mid-infrared area. It sees completely differently. So they're like,
Oh, see, it's going to be so much better because the mirror is bigger.
but it sees different shit. What are you doing, Rabbit? All right. Pretty sure that's the rabbit that decided not to make a nest for her babies. And she's freaking the fuck out. Anyway. Yeah, so there's all these problems with James Webb, and as far as I can tell, everybody's really excited that it launched. And they're like, yay, it's gonna work, and we're gonna see all these things, and we're gonna know all these things, and yay! And I'm just sitting here like, but like, you're the kind of person that if you crack the screen on your phone, you just buy a new one. What are you doing? You're not a person that understands how to maintain a machine. Why are you excited about this? You're not in a position to actually be excited because, well, you're an idiot. You don't know what's happening. You don't understand. Like, so, small case in point. I have more than one car because I need to always have a car. Okay? I have old cars that I can maintain myself because I need to always have a car. And I have at least one spare engine for each type of car that I own because I always need to have a car. There isn't any current problem with any of my cars. There isn't any current problem with the engines. This is just not being an idiot, planning for the future, because shit breaks. James Webb in the testing phase, everything broke. But at launch, what they decide is instead of like inserting it into low Earth orbit and leaving it there for a little while and testing things in orbit at a distance where we could actually get a maintenance crew up to it if absolutely required, which, keep in mind, we needed to do that with Hubble, the thing that everybody's comparing it to. No, they just like, no, we don't need to do that. We'll just send it off on its mission. Because that's never gone wrong before. There was never a time where NASA like crashed something into Mars because they couldn't tell the difference between metric and imperial units. That never happened. Yeah, so I mean, I hope it works. Sure. I don't want it to fail. It would be nice if all of that fucking wasted money and manpower turned out not to be wasted. But I'm not expecting it to work. Because I have a brain on my fucking head. Like, come on now. The testing revealed issues. And then they just gave up testing it. And they're like, oh, let's launch it. And everybody's excited and think it's going to work. And like if you look, for instance, at the Wikipedia page, the first paragraph is telling you, oh, it's the successor to Hubble, blah blah blah. The second paragraph is a whole bunch of science speak that your average person isn't going to understand. Like what is gold-plated beryllium? I don't know. You don't know. Average people don't know. I kind of do know, but average people don't know. Like, what the hell kind of a mirror is this? Why would you use this? Like, okay, it sounds fancy. Yay! Sci-fi! Like, I think that's what's happening. We're just pandering to the sci-fi crowd. But, objectively, it's not a big enough crowd, because if it were, the cost delays, the overruns on all of this, the financing, the budget, all that bullshit, wouldn't have been so much of a problem. It wouldn't have eaten the budget of all of these other astronomy programs if the actual people who claim to care about all of this so much really genuinely did. Or if that population was larger. So, pretty clearly, the people that really care about this are a small minority of people, because there wouldn't have been funding issues if it was a majority of people. Yeah. So to that minority, Star Trek's not real, right? This isn't gonna bring much. Okay, we're gonna see some old ass pictures of some old ass, like pictures of old ass galaxies and shit from way the fuck back. What does that do for us? Why? Is 25 years of development hell really worth it? Really? I'm skeptical. I'm sure there's going to be some pretty pictures. So? So what?